Hey there, this is Nate English here with Gregory Kennedy doing our daily podcast about the Vuelta a Espana. So today is the first rest day after the first week of racing, and it's been a lot of exciting stuff so far. Right now, I'll do a quick rundown on the GC. Richard Carapaz took over the GC after stage 6, which is really exciting, and the race really exploded. Hugh Carthy is up there. He's in second, 18 seconds back. Dan Martin's in third, 20 seconds back, and Roglic just lost his lead. He's in 30 seconds back and forth. And it's been an intense week of racing. There's definitely a lot of like highs and lows for all the riders. And so we're looking forward to 2 more weeks of a lot of excitement and some tough stages. Gregory, what do we have coming up next that we're looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, so it's still early in the race, right? And so Grand Tours seem to have this really interesting narrative arc where there's early leaders and lots of excitement, and like it's not always that the early leader is the winner, right? We've seen this in a lot of Grand Tours. So
it is pretty fun and interesting, though, that the early leader in this race actually is a major contender, because I feel like a lot of times they have the sprint stages, they have like a prologue, and so the early leader is like clearly somebody that's very strong and they can hold it for the first week or even 2 weeks sometimes, but they're really an outsider. There's like almost no chance that they're going to win. But in this race, it's like Roglic is definitely one of the favorites. He held the lead. It definitely took a little bit of effort for Jumbo to try to protect it. And in some regards, yesterday, like it sucks that he had a bad day, and it sucks that he went into the last climb behind the leaders because he descended a little behind them. But it could actually be like a blessing in disguise that Jumbo doesn't have to try to control it right now, and they can kind of play off of Movistar and Ineos and Isreal Start-Up Nation, and maybe those teams can put a little more effort in with Jumbo holding back and resting up some of the coming days. We'll see how it plays out.
On Chris Horner's podcast, the rumor was that Roglic had some kind of mechanical, but like the last you could see at the stage yesterday, there was camera. It's like really high altitude, so they lose the field a lot, which is always happening in these like crazy mountain finishes on the Vuelta, and that there was some issue with Roglic, and that was why he was behind, not because he didn't have the fitness, right? Which is an interesting anecdote. Like Roglic was, I mean, I love the guy. I'm a huge fan. I was rooting for him the entire Tour de France. I thought like it's just a miracle what Pogačar pulled off at the end to win it. Like he was the favorite, he was ahead, he was doing great, and then he was kind of crushed at the end. So like he's clearly one of the best riders out there. And if that's true that it was a mechanical, you know, we might see Roglic come back and take the jersey pretty quick.
Yeah, he closed the gap down quite a bit in the last 5K. So he's definitely not weak, and losing a few seconds wasn't really a sign of weakness as much as just like bad luck or circumstance. Yesterday was tough because it was like rainy and cold, but all the contenders were up there, so it's definitely shaping up to be an exciting week. It's like fun. They've had some tough stages, but it's fun that there's still several guys that are right there in it, and it's not like 2 of the favorites lost like 10 minutes. And it was fun seeing some of the riders that crashed early come back and do a showing, and some of the riders that are like in a little bit less fitness putting in some good work in the recent stages. Looking forward, I think I'm most excited about next weekend. It's going to be epic. Stage 11 is a bunch of climbs setting up for stage 12, which is also a really climbing heavy stage that finishes on the Angliru, which is probably the hardest climb in the whole race. And that's going to be before the final rest day. And there's a little bit of action in the last week, mostly coming down to like the time trial and stage 17. But I think that the Angliru is really going to shape up to be like whoever comes out, whoever's in the lead after that, I would almost for sure put my money on them, unless it's just like a few seconds gap between them. But
yeah.
I know everyone knows who's been watching these. You're a big Ineos fan. You expect and want Carapaz to win. What do you think his chances are? Because like Roglic is looking really strong. He definitely could try to bring it back. Dan Martin was climbing great and took the stage on the mountaintop finish just the other day. Like maybe he could take the lead on the Angliru. Do you have any concerns? How confident are you in your pick?
Well, I don't know. It's been a good pick so far. And I think there are a lot of motivation with Ineos. Like they need to get some wins out there. They had this fantastic showing at the Giro, which is incredible, right? Carapaz is clearly like a talented rider, great climber, grew up at altitude, right? So he's definitely has what it takes to I think win, right? There's a few contenders in there. Like we know Roglic is the defending champion, so clearly he's got the potential. Dan Martin seems to be doing great, but like he doesn't have a strong team where Ineos and Jumbo both have team members that can like work for their leaders and help them get across the finish. So I think for Dan Martin, it's a tough one. He's doing great. I'm sure he's happy with his results so far. So I think he would be more of a wild card pick. I mean, anything can happen. There could still be crashes. People might ultimately, have to leave the race. So I guess like if that with that logic, like Carapaz and Roglic are the favorites, I think, to win. And yeah, I'm going to continue to double down on Carapaz.
Yeah, I think if I was like, it's like you said, there's so many things that can happen and it's unpredictable and there's no way of knowing. I think Enric Mas is doing great. It'll be fun to see if he can make up some time and maybe finish on the podium. But I think you're right. Like if I was going to put money on it, I would think that Roglic and Carapaz are going to be on the podium almost for sure. I think either Enric Mas or maybe Dan Martin will round out the podium if I was going to put money on it. But I think the fact that we're still 2 weeks out, I'll put money on that being incorrect. Like that seems probable, but there's going to be at least some crazy thing that happens or somebody that holds on and surprises us. Like maybe Hugh Carthy can, keep finishing up there in the climbs. Maybe he doesn't lose a lot of time in the time trial. Maybe he's on the podium at the end. It'll be exciting. But yeah, luckily those guys get to rest today. It's been a tough first week. They've got to, sleep, eat well, get some massages, and be ready for some action tomorrow. Any parting thoughts before we go?
Yeah. So like, I was just thinking that this year we've seen Grand Tours end with a surprise finish on the time trial.
Yeah.
And if that's the case in both the Giro and the Tour, it might be reasonable to bet that the Vuelta this year might shake up that way as well. So I wouldn't count anybody out until the time trial happens.
Yeah, I mean the time trial, it's fun. It comes after stage 11 and 12, like the big climbing stages and the Englaro. It's 34K with like a small climb at the end, so it's long enough that there could be some gaps and it could change things up. If a climber is in the lead and they lose it to somebody who's a better time trialist, there is still an outside chance on stage 17 that there could be some aggressive action and it could like sort itself out again. But I think you're right. Anything could happen. I'm guessing that there's going to be not a ton of changes after next weekend because it's so much climbing, it's so hard, and those 2 days back to back will just sort everything out, and then maybe a few small changes. But unless somebody has a really bad day, I don't think they'll ever lose big time after that. But we'll see. It'll be exciting. Who knows? But yeah, we'll come back tomorrow with stage coverage for the next stage and keep going.
All right.
Thanks, Gregory. Bye.